Good morning, Marysville. Hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday. Welcome to Charter Chat, a student-run talk show run right out of the International School of Communications. My name is Amelia.
I'm Rachel Stallcup, and this is Henry Garcinski. We're bringing him on today, and he is a integrated communications major. He is also a Marysville alumni of 2004, and he works for the radio.
I do. Hello. How's it going?
Good.
Good.
So the first thing I'd like to ask you is, what was your dream growing up? 'Cause
That's a really good question. Oh man, what was my dream growing up? I always wanted to write for like a video game magazine. Was something I was always interested in. I always read like Nintendo Power, which is no longer around anymore, and just really into gaming, and that's something I wanted to do. And sadly, those magazines don't really exist anymore. But yeah, that was kind of my dream growing up. Video game journalist. Play video games for a living. It's been a good time.
Definitely, video game journalism has changed quite a bit since then, with all the controversy of Gamergate and all that stuff.
Yeah, I haven't really followed Gamergate too much. I've kind of fallen out of the like video game circuit, like being that I guess into it. But I still like to play them every once in a while. But I'm not as hardcore as I used to be. Not at all. It's yeah. Video games have kind of gone beyond me now, I guess.
Yeah.
What are some plans that you have for your future?
I don't know. Right now to get through midterms. I'm trying to take it just one day at a time right now. But I don't know. Just get out of college, get a nice car and a nice house, and that's all that I want out of life, really. Good job, good car, good house. That's all I want.
Yeah, sometimes you don't want to always plan. You just want to live each moment, which is good. Yeah.
Yes, I've learned that in college, to just take it one day at a time.
Yeah.
It's something my grandmother says, one day at a time, so try to hold that as my mantra.
Have you run into any obstacles with schooling and balancing everything else?
Yes.
Yeah.
Time management is very, very important, and I'm learning that this week. I have two 10-page papers to do. I did a midterm last week, and then I have a midterm coming up on Friday. All of those things, the 10 pages and the midterm that I still have to do, are all due basically on the same day. So
Wow.
time management is pretty good. I'm going to write like probably 6,000 words before the end of the week, so it's going to be a great time. I'm already very tired.
Okay. What are some things you've been doing for school recently? Like, have you been voicing over for any of the sports? Because I heard you do radio.
No, I did. When I was at Everett Community College, I did some play-by-play for their baseball team, which was really, really fun. Yeah, that was awesome. But no, nothing yet. We have like an audio assignment coming up that I'm pretty excited about doing. Like, I think it's a minute or two, and doing like an audio story, like NPR style or something like that. So learn how to cut audio and da-da-da-da-da. So it should be fun. But yeah, nothing so far for WSU.
So what made you choose Washington State University?
It was on the same campus as every community college. No, I'm kidding. Washington State University has one of the best communications programs in the entire country, and they just moved into every community college for their North Puget Sound campus 2 years ago now. So it was like the next logical step. I'm kind of older than your average college student, so like I didn't want to go to Pullman. I didn't want to move to a different part of the country. I'm going to be 30 next year, so like doing that so late, kind of odd. So I was really happy that Wazoo came in at the time that they did, so I can still stay where I am and get my schooling done. So that's why I chose Wazoo. Go Cougs!
What made you choose the major that you're doing?
Well, it was a toss-up between journalism and communication for me. I really like being a journalist. It was a lot of fun. But communication, like, I don't know, it just seemed like it was the next step. It was something that I wanted to go down. I mean, with my degrees, I could choose either or once I get out of college, which is nice. So maybe it'll swing back towards journalism, but right now it's communication. It's just I've said that I'd rather be on the outside looking in, or sorry, on the inside looking out than on the outside looking in. So
A broader degree just to kind of keep your options open. which is
exactly.
good. So, with your schooling and your work, is there, you mentioned time management before, like how do you manage money as well with all that?
Well, I don't have a job, so I'm a full-time student, so money is very scarce. A lot of dollar menu, late night dinners. The dollar menus at various fast food restaurants are great. I don't know, I just don't really buy anything. I just, Goodwill is a great place to buy clothes, and that's pretty much my money management strategy. Buy cheap, buy in bulk, learn how to cook. It's a big one, so yeah.
Okay, so how have you been managing your time by cramming in all of your schoolwork?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just doing it. Like I said, just one day at a time. That's pretty much it. Yeah, that's about it. Just taking it one day at a time and just going through checklists, check everything off. This is done, cross it off, feels good, go on to the next one and just keep going and going and going until all your assignments are done. And then you take a very long nap or get a juice or something and just chill out for a little bit. Try to make sure that I take breaks every once in a while, play some video games, hang out. I like to go on drives a lot, drive around late at night, just clear my head. It's a good time listening to music. So.
Speaking of breaks, we'll be right back after this segment. Welcome class to the first day of the school year. I hope we're off to a great start. The most important lesson for young people today is how to do proper grammar.
Ugh, grammar.
Oh, what a long first day of school. I wonder what my students think of me. What's this? This class again. Young lady, you need to work on your grammar.
I didn't write that.
Really? It says your name right here.
Somebody else. My Twitter must have been hacked because I did not write that.
How did you even find that?
I looked up my name on Twitter the first week of school to see what my students think of me.
You're so narcissistic.
Well, since this isn't yours, I guess you won't mind if I use it for the lesson plan today.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, I didn't write it. You'll just embarrass somebody else.
And we're back. So, you do some radio on KSER.
I do 90.7 FM at Everett, Washington, volunteer radio.
How do you choose the specific type of music that you put on?
Well, I play punk and alternative and hip hop. That's kind of my show. I just throw everything into a blender and see kind of what happens. It's on at 8:30 p.m. Fridays, if you want to check it out, 90.7 FM. It's how do I choose the music? It's just stuff that I grew up with, stuff that I like. I like comb blogs. Now bands do what they call the blog circuit, and they'll actually go out to all the major music blogs and just send out like their new singles and the new EPs or LPs for streaming. So I check all the blogs to see kind of what fits in with my show, and then I throw it all together, and then I go on the air. And that's about it. I don't really. Sometimes I'll do a playlist and I'll really stick to it, but there's mostly like when you interview somebody, you have points that you want to hit, but then you can kind of just go off and talk about whatever. Same thing with my show. I have points I want to hit, and then I just play whatever. So it's pretty much how I pick everything.
Was there anyone that inspired you to go into DJing? Like, is there certain people that you look up to or try to emulate at all?
In the DJ realm, I really not like radio, like music DJ, not too much, but more of like people from NPR, Terry Gross, I look up to a lot, Ira Glass from This American Life, like those types of people, just interviewers. I look up to them, just their style, how they present, but nobody really on the radio that I heard, and I was like, this is what I want to do, you know, like, I just always liked the idea of just playing music for other people. I used to make like little cassettes when I was a kid, and like copy music off the radio, and then like come in with my own mic breaks and do my own radio show on a cassette and give it to my friends, and that was when I was like 9 or 10, so that kind of started me on the path, I guess.
Do you have any limitations to what you can play on the station?
I set my own, and then of course there's like FCC regulations, so you know, no swears, things like that. You got to watch out for length. Now there's like certain, I don't know. They have like you can't play like 3 songs in the same in a row by the same artist, stuff like that, which is kind of odd to work around, but. I don't know, like I don't play grunge on my show, like I figure you can go listen to Nirvana anywhere else. But that's really about it. I don't know. Yeah, no grunge. And there's a couple of bands I won't play, but that's about it, like in my realm. But yeah, other than that, it's free game.
You know, last year, because we had like a comedy show as well, we had the same kind of like working around like comedy with like the same kind of regulations you have for the school, which is probably even stricter than the radio.
Right,
so
right.
You kind of get the feeling of
it. Makes you creative, though.
Yeah.
It really does.
It's in a box kind of that you have to work around.
Right, and sometimes you can blur the edges a little bit and get away with certain things, you know. But yeah, no, I understand completely.
Have you looked into like other sorts of broadcasting as well? Like, because like internet broadcasting seems to be growing a lot more than radio right now. Is that?
It is, yeah.
Are you thinking of like moving into it or like transitioning?
I've thought about it.
Yeah.
I've really looked into it. Hosting is so expensive. Like to get the bandwidth to be able to do internet radio is really, really expensive. Podcasting is something I've really, really wanted to get into. I already have a podcast with my buddy Aaron, but I'd love to interview more people, like people who are important in my life, like my parents or teachers or anything like that would be really fun. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for the future. But yeah, internet radio is really expensive. Super cheap to get into. All you need is a microphone and a computer and like some MP3s. But like, as far as getting it out into the world, a lot of money.
Is there any like podcasts that you really like right now that are out there? Yeah.
There are. Right now, I'm listening to this really cool. It's actually put on by a couple of ex-Electronic Gaming Monthly people who are, which was a magazine, a gaming magazine. It was actually the gaming magazine that got me into journalism. They've been doing this podcast called Retronauts, and they talk about old video games, like from Nintendo all the way up to like Super Nintendo and things like that, which is really interesting. Here's the Thing with Alec Baldwin is really good. It's Alec Baldwin and his delicious voice interviewing really cool people like Jerry Seinfeld, like Doc Gooden from the Mets, and those are the two that I'm really into right now. What else? I think Radio Lab is always a great podcast. This American Life is always really good. Yeah, just a lot of NPR stuff I listen to. So totally geeky stuff.
So, speaking of music and stuff, let's take a look inside of your studio.
Oh, we go.
Close out the stereo wire for another week. I'll be right back after the song. It's KSER.
The stories that we see. Someone's waiting to.
I am Henry J. This is the Stereo Wire, 90.7 FM KSER Everett and 89.9 KXIR Freeland. The Tunnel will be coming up in about a little over an hour. This is it's pledge drive season around these parts, so if you want to call up and donate a couple of bucks, let's keep it going with the music, shall we? Let's bring it down a notch. Let's listen to The Clash, a song called Straight to Hell right here on the Stereo Wire. This sample should sound familiar to you, but I guarantee you it's The Clash. It's KCR.
All right, and we're back. Now let's talk about some of the things that we saw in the studio. Like how'd you construct it? What was your
What do you mean constructed?
like what was your plan when you put it together? I suppose.
When I put my show together?
Yeah.
That night? I don't know. It was yeah, I just wanted to hit some songs that I really liked, and then I think that night I was playing a lot of whatever. Sometimes new music is pretty scarce, so a lot of the time you gotta fill more gaps than you want to, but I have a good stable of like standard tracks that I'll just play and play and play. But that was a really cool clip package. I really like that. That made me look really good, which is always a plus. But yeah, that was it that night.
That was all Rachel that put that together. So.
Yeah. So, do you think that anytime you'd want to transition into any bigger radio stations, or do you like the one that you're doing?
I've thought about it, and I have shadowed at a sports radio station, like to see if talk radio was my thing. Talk radio is not my thing. From my understanding, and I could be completely wrong on this, once you go to because we're volunteer run, like I don't get paid to do any of this stuff. The people who do get paid, it's very, very small, and they're all station managers and music directors and things like that. So it's all labor of love, and what that allows us to do at KCR is to just be ourselves and play whatever we want to play, which is really, really freeing. And from my understanding, if you go to the corporate side of things, if you go to a corporate radio station, that freedom is less. So like you don't really get to play everything that you want to play. There's more points for you to hit. So I've thought about it. I've thought about moving up and moving on, but I don't know if that would be right for me right now. I like where I am a lot at KSER.
And speaking of pop, like what do you think, like the whole pop culture on music, like kind of like the corporate influence on pop music, that kind of, I think that it's to the point where it's kind of corrupting the music, or do you think that the corporations and music can kind of work together to good music?
That's a great question. Like as far as like Clear Channel and things like that, like iHeartRadio and
kind of like
stuff like that. I mean, everybody has to make money, you know. Like I get it. Like, you know, when you're young, and like for me, like when I was in a band in high school and things like that, you know, and I'm really into punk rock music too. So all that stuff is all DIY, like go against the grain. You know, like you're really sticking it to the man. But at the end of the day, music is still a business. Like even though you're a musician, and it seems like the craziest and wildest thing that you could ever do is you know, being a band, and you know, it has like this romanticized type of feel to it. You know, you still have to make money. You still have to, you know, you still have to copyright your songs. You still have to have a budget. You still have to like tour budget, merch budget. You have to be thinking about branding and like all these different things. You have to be thinking about basically what you learn in communications. So, you know, everybody's got to make a couple of bucks. I get it, you know. So, I'm not. It doesn't really bother me as much as it would 10 years ago. If you asked me that question 10 years ago, I'd definitely have a different answer. But I understand. I get it.
So speaking of the whole band and writing music, what's your mindset on writing your own music and creating it?
I don't really do it anymore. Not as much as I used to. I was in a band right out of high school. I was in bands in high school, and then I was in two pretty not major, but like it took up all of my time, bands, until about 2010, 2009. So I don't really do it anymore. Like, I play music just as a hobby now. I'm much more content with playing other people's music, especially local stuff. Marysville used to have a very big pop punk scene back in the early 2000s that when I was 15, 16, I really got into. And that was a really good time. And so, you know, to cultivate that and to bring that back somehow with my show would be really rad. So I'm always on the lookout for local bands, but I'm just stoked to play other people's music instead of my own.
Would you, you mentioned like you kind of did your own show like when you were like a kid, like 10 years ago. Do you think this is kind of living the dream at this point?
No, because I'm
No?
not getting paid.
Not getting paid?
No, the dream is far from reality right now. I still have school, you know, but yeah, I mean, like, that made me sound like money is everything to me, and it really isn't. Like, I just want to make enough to have a nice living for myself. But yeah, as of right now, there's still a lot of work to do. Still 2 more years of college, so.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I don't know. And that's a very honest answer. I don't know. I have no idea. I always thought that I would try and get a job back east. I'm originally from Long Island, New York, so which is why I'm wearing this Mets hat. Where am I? Let's go Mets. You know, I've always seen myself moving back east, but I don't know. I really don't know. I can't say where I'd be in 5 years. It's going to be interesting. I know that.
Yeah, like, I know a little bit of New York because half my dad's family lives there, so I just kind of like I've gone there quite a few times, like to Long Island and stuff. So it's definitely a good area.
Oh, there you go. All right. Yeah. I haven't gone back in a while, but yeah, just New York City's beautiful. I mean, it's awesome out here, but I don't know. I vibe really well with New York City. I loved it. I was there in the summertime. It was hot, sweaty. You're in the train with a bunch of hot, sweaty other people. It was a good time. It was great.
So, let's take a break and go to the next segment.
Wow, I'm sorry you got grounded last night.
I mean, parents. I mean, my mom's all the time. It's fine.
Hey, you remember that party this weekend? It was pretty fun, huh?
Yeah, last weekend. That was, you know, before I was growing. Yeah, that was pretty good. Do I get to class? Yeah, that was, yeah.
There was no party last weekend. I thought it was this weekend.
Well, last weekend, I had dropped my sister off. She just really wanted to go, so.
I thought that your car broke down.
Well, my dad actually had to go on a business trip, so he just carpooled with someone else. I just used his.
Oh.
Hey, do you have the pictures from the party this weekend?
Did you leave your phone with me or something?
Well, because we were there together.
Like after I dropped her off, of course, right?
No. Actually, I do have my phone. Whatever. Do what you want to do.
So what really happened this weekend?
Okay. Since you haven't been listening to what I've been telling you all day, what happened was my sister is just this huge party now, so she really wanted to go to the party. My dad's truck, I just don't like you. I didn't want to hang out with you this weekend.
And we're back. So you're talking about your radio station. Where can people find that?
You can find it every Friday night at 8:30 to 10:30. I just moved. I used to be on Thursdays, so like saying Friday night is kind of still weird for me. Friday night, 8:30 to 10:30 p.m. on 90.7 FM KSER. You can also go online and stream us at kser.org, and you can find my show at The Stereo Wire, facebook.com/TheStereoWire, and TheStereoWire.com. So, as a communications student, you have to have all of your social media channels on lock.
Of course.
There you go. Yeah, you can find me at HYARSINSKE if you want to follow me on Twitter. You have to have the Twitter plug in there, right? You got to drop that.
Of course.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
You gotta drop everything.
That's right.
I know, like with other podcasts I listen to, it's just like it's something you just have to go through the 2 minutes of listening to every
Right.
single thing that you have. All
Just
the-
be happy that I'm not pushing an album or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, do you have any of your music out, like for people to download at all?
No.
Or you just personal stuff.
Yeah, no, I don't have anything out in the world right now. It's just little demos and things I make for myself. I don't know, if I think it's good enough, I'll put it out there one day, but for right now, that's all right.
Well, you never know. Like there's some bands, like I found one band through a podcast that like never made any success at all, but like they just found little success because they'd play it for like break music on their podcast, and they just grew into the whole thing.
Yeah, that's what happened. There's a band called Death, and they're out of Detroit, and they were around in the early 70s, and they never got any sort of radio play because of their name. Like people were afraid to play them on AM and FM radio because they were called Death. And their 7-inch was unearthed years and like decades later, and it turned out that they were actually like one of the founding fathers of punk. And nobody ever heard them. Like they're before the Ramones. I believe they're even before Iggy and the Stooges. There's a really good documentary about it, but yeah, like I think it's on Netflix. But yeah, like you can, there's all these hidden gems that you may never find, and that's kind of cool. Like researching music and things like that for my show, because you may find a band from here, from Marysville, that you never knew existed before, and all of a sudden you find like the next big thing or your new favorite band. So it's always good to dig. There's one other thing too. Speaking of music shows, I'm throwing a show down at the Living Room Coffee House on October 24th. I'm gonna have bands there. Right Your Wrongs is a local. They're from Marysville pop punk. Greet the Sea. They're also from Marysville. Little Marysville Everett. John Paul and the Apostles. They're from Everett, and the Home Team. So it's going to be a really cool. It's KSER and my show we're putting on. It's all ages, $10, gets you in the door. Saturday, October 24th. It's going to be a great time. Trying to spark the Marysville scene back up, and I think this will do it. So
That's great.
yeah, it's going to be good.
Okay, well, we will definitely have to check that out on October 24th. And thank you so much for coming today. It was very great getting you and bringing you on the show.
Thank you. This is awesome. You guys have a great thing going on here. This is absolutely amazing. I'm glad that this stuff exists. So thank you to the both of you for having me.
Definitely great having you and talking to you.
Thank you.
I learned a lot. Thank you, Marysville, for watching. Have a wonderful Wednesday.